It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege to interview Coach Reveno, who is a Georgia Tech Associate Head Coach for men's basketball. How are you doing today?
Doing good, doing good. We're on a little bit of a COVID pause here in Atlanta, but everyone's doing well and healthy, and we'll be back to it soon.
That's cool. Can you talk about your coaching experience and how you got started in college coaching?
Well, as a former player at Stanford, I was passionate about coaching and basketball, but I didn't get into it because it was a hard profession. You know, it's like all of us that end up in sports in some way. It's a passion that we just can't say no to, really. I think, and so I explored some other things, but actually got my master's in business. But then I realized what I really loved doing was coaching. So. When I got the opportunity at Stanford to be an assistant coach, very, very fortunate for Mike Montgomery, I jumped at it and started from there.
Can you talk about, of course, being a coach at Stanford at your alma mater and what that was like?
Yeah, I'd love to. I mean, Stanford was great. I grew up near there. I went to school there. I got my master's there. I played overseas actually in Japan for 4 years. So I used to joke. Everyone used to say I never left that area of California, Northern California, the Bay Area. But I went to Stanford. I went to Japan, came back. And so I felt like my 4 years overseas had given me a good broader experience. But to be back at Stanford and to coach was fabulous. Coach Montgomery was great. My first year in college coaching, 97, 98, we went to the Final Four. So I was hooked. We went to the Final Four my first year. And then I think it was 5 out of my 9 years there as an assistant, we won championships, 4 Pac-10 championships and one West Regional, actually I think it was the East Regional at the time. But it was a great experience, great student athletes, great coaching experience, tremendous staffs to work on. Always working with great people, I felt like made me a much better coach as well. So I learned from that experience tremendously.
Can you talk about your time at University of Portland?
Yeah, Portland was great. So then after 9 years at Stanford, I got the nod to be a head coach. So first time head coach, fired up, go up to Portland. I sort of fibbed in my interview that I was very, very familiar, of course, with Portland. I knew my way around. That was not true. Most of my trips to Portland had been spent driving through it to get to Eugene for University of Oregon games or Corvallis for Oregon State games. Had spent a little time recruiting, but I got up there. It's a wonderful city, young family at the time, great opportunity to be there, and was there 10 years as assistant coach. As a head coach, and then with great assistant coaches working with me, we had some good success and won the most amount of games in 3 years. Got coach of the year in the WCC against Gonzaga and BYU. St. Mary's, all these schools in 2010. But then in this business, I didn't keep it going. So we were finishing third, fourth in the top of the league, toward the top of the league. And then we dropped a little bit. And after a drop, they decided to go a different direction. But I enjoyed it. And it was just a great experience being a head coach. You learn a ton as a head coach, which I think actually makes me a very good assistant coach right now. So,
Can you talk about what you learned as a head coach to now move on to Georgia Tech as an assistant coach?
yeah, no, that's, I think you learn as a head coach how many decisions you have to make where you don't know, or I should say, how many decisions you have to make where you're maybe just 55%, 60% confident of the answer. and so you've got to pick a starter, or you've got to sign a recruit, or you've got to do an end line out of bounds play, or you got to say yes to a budget item, or schedule a game, or and you do look at all the angles, you talk to your assistant coaches, you figure it out, and you go with it. You go out there and you sell it, and you sell it to your team, you sell it to your boosters, your administration. But in your heart of heart, you might only be 60% sure that that's the right answer. So then when it goes wrong, you're not surprised. It was a 40, and you learn along the way, and you realize. And so you, as a head coach, you learn how hard some of these decisions are. And some, you don't have perfect information, and you make calls, and you have to live with the consequences. And so as an assistant coach, I have that appreciation. I also have the appreciation that as an assistant coach, you make as I try to be a great assistant coach. So everything I try to really put myself in the head coach's shoes, and really anticipate needs, find solutions, come up with solutions for things. And when there's a problem, I own it like it's my own problem. But at the end of the day, you're not the head coach, and you can go to sleep at night knowing that, this real tough decision is his decision. And while you might worry about it, he's the one that's going to have to make that tough decision. Sometimes it could be a disciplinary thing. We haven't had that much at Georgia Tech, if at all. But it might be a disciplinary thing. It might be like I said, a starting lineup thing. It might be a recruiting deal and a scheduling thing. And you don't have to make that decision. So you can make your recommendation, and then, go watch a show with your wife. And, I'm watching The Crown lately with my wife, and I can watch a little bit of that. And it's different being a head coach. So I learned being a head coach, though, gives me appreciation for all that.
Can you talk about what you've accomplished so far at Georgia Tech?
We've had a good run and built a strong foundation, and we're excited about this year. We got to the finals of the NIT. We won, had one of the best seasons in AC. That was our first year 5 years ago. And this last year, we as a team got veteran, and we have some really great guards back, and Jose Alvarado, Mike DeVoe, Bubba Parham, and Moses Wright is senior, and Jordan Usher. We got some good pieces. And last year we finished fifth in the ACC, had a winning ACC record for the first time in over a decade. And I don't pay too much attention to sort of the dates and the best year since type information, but it was a good year, and really making progress to what we ultimately want to do, and that's compete for a national championship, get in the NCAA tournament. And we felt like this year we were, and we still are, well positioned to do that. We've got a nice team. We're doing well. Like I say, we're on this pause now, but this year's just been so crazy in terms of trying to get a rhythm and trying to compete through the year and get to where we are, want to be, and that's the NCAA tournament. So we're really hoping to get back on track soon here and get back to playing some basketball, and everyone stay healthy and have a strong finish to the season.
Can you talk about the basketball culture that you have helped build at Georgia Tech?
Coach Passner does a great job of emphasizing one of motor and discipline. And by motor, he means self-motivated individuals that come to practice to work, be a great teammate. We talk about things in our basketball vernacular of cutting and loose balls and all that stuff that a lot of people talk about. But he really owns that in terms of how we conduct ourselves. And at Georgia Tech's an unbelievable school, and our guys have really done a great job taking care of the academics, and we need to keep doing that. But the culture, we're trying to build a championship culture, and this group really embodies that. And everyone, I think in a lot of ways, this year's a test of culture as things stop and start, and a lot going on, and have to take care of that off the court stuff almost just as much, and be responsible as on the court. But our culture is one of selflessness and motor and discipline.
Can you talk about, of course, like you said, this season is a tough season due to COVID starting and stopping. How has y'all adapted and helped the players know that they will get through it?
Coach Passner and our president and our senior leadership at our school have done a great job, and the school has been very supportive, and it's one where we're in this together. It's collaborative. So it's not one of shaming or of guilting. This is a very brutal virus, and we all have to do our part. And the President Cabrera and Coach Passner have been just tell it to the guys straight. And here's what we have to do. We're trying to play basketball in the midst of a pandemic, and you got to wear masks. You got to socially distance. You got to wash your hands. Just the same public health information and responsibility that everyone is told. And then if someone happens to get it or be around someone, and contact tracing wise, we've had to adjust. It's no one's fault. It's not guilt. It's not your fault if you get COVID. It's just one of those things. And we like to think of it like it's like playing poker or a card game where you get dealt these hands and you play them as best you can, but you still might get bad cards at the end and still get it. So you don't know. But I think, Coach Passner has really done a good job and he's a competitor. I mean, game by game, he really competes and focused on winning and putting our players in position to be successful. But with this COVID, the perspective of it's different. It's not, you can't control everything, but you got to control what you can. And it's not to make anyone feel bad if something goes wrong. We're just going to work our way through this and try to take care of each other.
Can you talk about the recruitment process at Georgia Tech and what y'all look for in young high school athletes?
One, you've got to have the academic ability to do the work at Georgia Tech to thrive. We're looking for guys that can thrive on and off the court. Off the court, you got to be willing to and have the desire to take full advantage of the Georgia Tech education. And I think that we've done that and gotten guys, and we have great academic support where you can earn a Georgia Tech degree. I mean, every degree at Georgia Tech is a Bachelor of Science. There's no Bachelor of Arts. I was a good student. I was an econ major. I was a Bachelor of Arts. So if the algebra or the calculus, or, the whatever was a little more challenging, and statistics, you didn't want to go too heavy, you could stay away from that. Well, at a school at Georgia Tech with a Bachelor of Science, the math component is not insignificant, but we have great academic support that really helps the student athletes make the most of it. So I say all that, we look at that, but at the end of the day, we want student athletes that want to play in the NBA, that are trying to compete at the top of the ACC, go into Cameron Indoor Arena and win, and have the ability to desire to do that. And so you got to have a certain talent and skill level, of course, to do that. But you've also got to be a passionate competitor, passionate learner of the game, willing to work on your craft. So we look for players with high skill level, good athleticism, and a strong desire and ability to compete, because it's hard. Winning's hard. Coach Passman likes to say winning hard is being the best you can be is hard, and you got to stick with it and enjoy doing it. And this group we have right now really does. They enjoy being in the gym. They enjoy being around each other. So we want to keep that culture going and find guys with that tremendous motor and competitiveness that will do that.
That's wonderful. What does the official visit look like at Georgia Tech?
So at Georgia Tech, it's not dissimilar from a lot of places. You bring you in maybe the night before the visit, you pick you up the day of, we start the 48-hour visit. Coach Passner likes to be very hands-on. He understands that's a key relationship. There might be a point assistant coach that's a point person for that, managing the recruitment, but Coach Passner is very much recruits like an assistant coach, very much involved. He'll pick you up at the airport often. Most of the time, if at all, unless there's something he really just can't change. And then he'll meet you for breakfast just by himself, focusing on having that opportunity to meet with you and meet with the parents. And then from there, we go on the campus tour. We meet with the academic people. We try to do things, and it's hard on an official visit, but we try to do things that are maybe a little more informal, whether it's top golf with the team or, dinner at coach's house or a meal with coach and his wife and his family or something that just kind of creates and strengthens those relationships, because we feel like getting to know each other is really a critical part of the process. At this point, in official visit recruiting, where it's not just meeting the academic people and not just seeing the fancy shiniest building on campus. We have a bunch of those, but it's meeting the people and spending time with the people, spending time with the players, the support staff. That's how you're going to live your normal life. We take you to the cafeteria, the place you're going to eat, show you the housing options, show you things, what it's going to be like. But it's really try to make things happen that puts you in position to build a relationship. And at the end of the visit, the question we want to ask is, can you see yourself here? And that's it. So we try to help the young student athlete answer those questions through the visit. And most good players that we bring in for Warren Recruit, they want to go someplace that has the technology, the support, the resources to help you, and the relationships to help you be the best you can be. But you got to enjoy it. College athletics. I mean, the reason I'm still coaching is because I love being around the student athletes. I love being around the staff. This is a business interview and I'm wearing a sweatshirt. So, it's a good gig. And so, I enjoy it, and we want players that enjoy college basketball and enjoy being around, because it should be fun.
That's so amazing. Of course, before COVID, were y'all able to let them try on the Georgia Tech uniform?
We would do that stuff. Yeah, we'd have them put on the uniform, do the pictures, do a team photo shoot. And again, it's sort of like the whole social media aspect of it, of sort of social media sort of helping them see themselves at a place. So yeah, we have a photo shoot with the uniforms and strict adherence to the NCAA rules in terms of what we can do with everything. But we like to have them in the uniform and taking part in what it's like to be a Georgia Tech Yellow Jacket.
What advice would you give upcoming high school athletes looking to play in college?
Keep working on your game. Don't worry about it. And I know I feel for high school athletes now during the pandemic, during COVID here, but just keep trying to work on your game, and work on, and by that I mean work on your skills. Play the game. There's three things you have to do to develop as a player. You have to, one, play the game against good competition, get coached. You have to develop your skills, and three, maximize yourself as an athlete. So the third one, I work with my 15-year-old son on this as well, is like, get your sleep, eat well, try to eat healthier. So make some healthy choices. Yes, you still might really like pizza, and you still might want, Chick-fil-A, and it's not the end of the world, but try to eat some healthy things. Try to get a good night's sleep. Consistent sleep, we found, is just really beneficial. Get that sleep so your body, all that work you're doing, can maximize it. And eat right. When I talk to high school kids, I say, try to eat something green once in a while. Eat a vegetable, eat some salad, eat something, but just take care of yourself. And sort of, we say, try to be a professional. Try to take a professional approach to things. And I say all that, the question was, how do you become, to play in college? Don't focus on recruiting. Recruiting will take care of itself. If you become a stud and keep working on it, passionate play, and that'll take care of itself. Now, if it's before your senior year or January of your senior year, that's different, where you might have to send some emails out and reach out to people and do some things. But if you're going into your sophomore year, even your junior year, let alone your freshman year, if you're worried about that, you don't need to be reaching out to college coaches. You don't need to be trying to get your name out there. And you might look and see where you're ranked and and you might make an all-star team and feel good about that's fine, but you can't make that what it's about. Because if you make it about sending out emails, posting videos on YouTube, putting things on mixtapes on your Instagram, wherever, TikTok, I don't know where you put them now, but wherever you're putting that stuff, if you become about that, then you're losing focus. If you have some fun putting some tapes, some stuff to music as a side thing, and that's fine, but just always try to be about getting better, about improving as a player and as an athlete.
That's wonderful advice. What advice would you give upcoming college coaches looking to get into the industry?
Okay, so that's a tough one. So for college, if you're graduate, if you're going into college, if you're in college as a student, then I'd say volunteer with the team, be a manager, see what it's about, make sure it's something you want to do, be around it, learn the game, work, and develop that brand as a guy who's reliable. You tell a coach you're going to get something done, you get it done. If you're graduated from college, you got the degree, and now you want to figure out, you want to coach, just you need to try to get that opportunity where you will learn, invest in yourself. Everyone has different financial needs. If you can do something for next to nothing or nothing, then that's an advantage. If you need to make some money, then you need to make ends meet. Then that's what you got to do. That's just the reality. The advice I would say that I've learned to tell people is you've got to figure out what drives you about coaching. If it's big time college basketball, if it's the ACC, if that's what gets you going, working with the best athletes. I've worked with a tremendous, a strength coach and different guys that really like working with only elite athletes. Well, that's one thing. And then there's other ones that say, I just want to be on the floor teaching basketball to whatever level, and I want to be on the floor. Then you got to learn that about yourself. And I would put yourself in situations that you enjoy, because what's going to pay off for you is working hard. So if you enjoy a certain coach, a certain group of guys, and you just want to be in that program, and you're not on the floor, but you're a GA or a volunteer or whatever, but you love being around those guys and you're willing to work hard, you like the place you're living, that's great. But don't put yourself in a situation where you're not happy with what you're doing. You don't really fit in very well, because that will reflect in your work, and you want to build that reputation and have success. So put yourself in a situation you enjoy, not just the biggest and brightest situation, if that makes sense.
That's wonderful advice. Where can my listeners find you at on social media, along with Georgia Tech basketball program at?
I am on social media. The best place to find me is at Coach Reveno on Twitter. At Coach Reveno on Twitter. At GTMBB is our men's basketball Twitter account, and you can follow me. And I try to put some coaching stuff up there. I also try to put some during voting season. I was encouraging coaches to engage voters and get people out to the polls. But now it's a little more basketball these days, and our Georgia Tech account's a great place to follow the team and see what's going on there.
Thank you again, Coach Reveno, for your interview, and best of luck at Georgia Tech this upcoming season during the pandemic.
Brandon, thank you very much. Very nice to talk to you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. You can find me at Brandon Sports Talk on Facebook at Brandon Sports Talk, Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Coach Reveno, for your interview, and best of luck.
Thank you, sir.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.